Christian Novels Audiobooks, the story of Wayne and Jean Vozzolo, the Cross Penny series, Kisses of Mercy, episode number 120. More and more graduates from the bunkhouse showed up at Vozzolo Produce, even after supper. A few found themselves behind the pink line in Tony's shed on cots. After breakfast on Tuesday morning, Beth clapped her hands to get everybody's attention. Wayne handed her the microphone. If you are a plumber, an electrician, a carpenter, or work as a helper to any of those, I need you over at Tony's shed, and I am pleased to announce that the bathrooms in there should be working before tonight. She was interrupted with claps and cheers, especially from those with cots. It is my understanding that everyone else has become a fence installer. Would the original fence crew please stand up? Meet your new bosses. The loaded, unmarked produce delivery truck left for the city, 5-star restaurant deliveries. The kitchen crew had ample produce to feed the small army of men and workers for lunch. Wayne drove the bus to take the night pickers and delivery truck loaders back home across the border. Jean went with him. They picked up the day-filled crews and brought them back. Beth sat down next to Willie in the empty mess hall for a final cup of coffee before crossing the road. Willie, do you think we might be able to get one line up and running today? Honey, Beth, I don't know why not. Willie turned a little red at his snafu. After all, he had only known Beth a few days, but they had spent hours working together. Beth turned a shade of pink also. Good, she said, gulping down the last sip of her coffee. Then she jumped up and took her mug to the kitchen. Oops, Willie whispered as he washed her head to the restroom. The fence crew met together and broke up into teams similar to the teams yesterday. Chester drove one of the buses out to the fence line and let each team off. Eduardo drove the tractor with the loaded trailer behind the bus. At each stop, men grabbed rolls of wire, heavy bags of clips, clip benders, and smaller boxes of splicers. Sophie, how do you feel being the only girl out here? Sammy asked as he picked up a clip bender. Not too bad, brother, not too bad, she laughed. Although I do wish Trish was out here too, she replied as she picked up a clip bender. The other amigos were also assigned to use the clip benders because it was the easiest job to do. Chester went back to the kitchen and loaded up all the yellow water jugs and grabbed cups and garbage bags. Soon he took some of each out to the workers in the produce plots, and the others he divided among each fit's team. When he got to Sophie and Sammy, they came over to talk to him. Look, we will soon be reaching as high as we can on these poles. What if we took the wooden braces apart and put a nail at the top? One person could then thrust the wire up and keep it in place while standing on the ground. Those with clip benders would still need ladders to reach the higher strands of wire, Sophie added. Sophie, that's a brilliant plan. I don't think anybody else has thought about how to hang barbed wire that high in the air, Chester replied as he hugged both of them. Chester picked up the original fence crew and brought them over to Sophie and asked her to repeat the plan. They all agreed that would be a great solution for a looming problem. Chester delivered the bosses back. On the way to the tractor barn where the braces were now stored, he stopped by Bobby's office. Hey, Bobby, it's only Tuesday morning, and look at this place, Chester said. Send any more new guys to the tractor barn, and I'll put them to work recycling braces into barbed wire keepers. I have no idea what a barbed wire keeper is, but I will send you fellas until you tell me not to, Bobby replied. An hour later, Chester and several guys loaded the barbed wire keepers into the bus and walked across the street to Tony's shed. The men greeted each other. Many of them had shared the bunkhouse at the same time. Chester went over to Beth and asked a question. She nodded her head and called for a short timeout. Guys, Beth and Carrie, it's looking great out here. If any of you guys brought ladders that you are not using or not likely to use, we need them out in the field. Just make sure they're marked. Chester said we need them loaded on the bus. Everybody go ahead and take a break over the mess hall. They just told me warm cookies are ready, Beth added. And Chester, you can take back some to everybody in the field. I'm sure they would love that, Chester replied as he went across the street to grab cookies while ladders were clanging on the bus. Tony's shed was now empty except for Willie and Beth. Willie watched her go to her tool chest and unlock it. Beth picked up her watch and put it on. She then picked up her wedding band and put it on. Willie turned and slowly made his way across the road to the mess hall as he mumbled, "I knew it was too good to be true." Beth grabbed the manuals for the washing stations and the cutting stations. She looked around but didn't see Willie. "That's odd." She scratched her head. "I thought he was waiting for me." "Apparently not," she said out loud to no one. She went over to the Vozzolos' house. She put the manuals down on the kitchen table and went to her bedroom. Peace and quiet. "They've got to work on my office next and soundproof it. I can't hear myself think over there." "Darling," she said, picking up her favorite picture of her late husband, "I will love you until my dying breath. I now know my heart is big enough to also love someone else until my final breath on this earth. I believe you approve." With that, Beth laid the framed picture face up inside her top dresser drawer, took off her wedding band, and placed it on top of the picture. In the stillness and quietness of the kitchen, she studied the manuals. "I wish Willie was over here to help me with these. I so respect him and his opinion," she said to no one as she poured herself a glass of iced tea and munched on an apple.